Well, it has been an interesting session so far. Mr. KV Raman, your presentation shed light on technological trends in water treatment. Could you elaborate on how these trends are specifically impacting the construction industry and what potential challenges and opportunities they bring forth?
Yeah, definitely. As far as the construction industry is concerned, a lot of water is used for construction purpose. Okay, so the construction water quality requirements are very, very specific. It is governed by the IS, that is BAS specification. If the water quality is not good enough, then it is going to affect the quality of the construction. For example, even if metro projects where a lot of construction activity is involved, there is a very specific quality of water is suggested for construction of the metro rail civil structures. Similarly, any building activity it requires a certain quality of water. So when there is a water scarcity, you need to produce water of desired quality from whatever water available. So with the innovative technologies of capacity electrode desalination, which does not over purify or under purify the water, you'll be able to produce the right quality of water used for the construction purpose. Similarly, any real estate industry, very large projects, it will require drinking water, and it will also need water for construction purpose. Now, if you see the decentralized approach of sewage treatment, if you produce very good quality of water, and if that water quality can be improved by use of the latest water treatment technologies, the water can be made fit for other uses like construction purposes and for firefighting, for gardening, and then for other secondary uses. This water can be used. So those type of water can be produced with better quality of and innovative water treatment technologies.
Thank you, Mr. Raman.
Yeah.
Mr. Visheshraya, considering the vast infrastructure project you have been involved in, could you share some practical strategies for integrating water loss management into the large-scale construction projects?
See, actually, the purpose of this project is to save the treated water from the distribution and the losses that is occurring due to non-generation of revenue also. See, what happens is when the requirement is X, and you see that 50% of the treated water is misutilized, either due to theft or either due to losses of the pipeline or non-proper management. See, the 50% revenue is not generated. Thereby, the local bodies are unable to generate the revenue. In turn, people are not getting water. Water is becoming scarce day by day, and to retain water and give potable water to the entire city is becoming a challenging task. How to overcome this is we have to see that we maintain the pipelines in good conditions. If pipelines are not maintained in good conditions, leakage do occur. Leakage do occur, and these leaking pipes get mixed with the sanitary pipelines which are laid adjacent, more or less in the cities. Thereby, what happens is you don't get the treated water properly. Properly maintaining a pipeline, and whatever I'm saying, there's so much savings of water, not only leads to the better economy of the country, you save water, you save power, and with the saved water, you can give this potable water to the deprived society or wherever is the people are not getting the potable water. And water becoming a very scarce element nowadays, not getting water. Uh, Sustainable to sustain the demand also, we need to take up such projects wherever the revenue is also increased and water is also utilized to the proper and given to the end consumer. Everybody receives the potable. Since Jal Jeevan mission is coming now all over India, and water rain also is getting depleted year after year. To sustain and to maintain the pipelines is the most viable and most economical thought that India needs to look over pan-India, so that whatever we invest on this is going to pay back, and whatever is going to we are presenting to give water to the entire nation, these such of projects is very, very vital.
Thank you, sir. Mr. Saket, bioremediation technique seems to be promising for wastewater treatment. How can these techniques can be effectively integrated into construction projects to enhance sustainability?
what happens is when you are looking at bioremediation, it can be implemented on the entire scale, right from the beginning of a project up to the maintenance and the smooth functioning of your infrastructure projects. For example, if you were to utilize water that is has a particular characteristics, like I think Mr. Raman had mentioned, there are strict norms that need to be followed. Very basics, for example, if your iron content is high or your organic matter is high, it is going to seep into your concretization process, and that is what leads to the cracking in the first place during construction. So you need to get that organic content down. That can be done using bioremediational techniques, using microbial consortium. Then, for example, we have clients both in the government and the private sector, where, or in the joint sector, wherein there are lakes or beautification projects that are vast landscapes. So to maintain them, you need not just for the solid waste or the solid remediation part of it, you also require, for example, lake bioremediation. You need processes like biodredging to happen, so that your lake maintenance is over a period of time very stable, and that is where it is again very useful. Then in processes like I mentioned, you have your sewage treatment plants that need to be functioning well, so that you are not essentially buying more water, you are reusing this water, and this reused water will a lead to cost reduction, b it will help in sustainability, and c it will most importantly be helping in the overall reduce the 3R cycle that we mentioned. And that is where we can get to water neutrality slowly and steadily. So like I mentioned, it can be started from the basic right up to the implementation and further management.
Thank you, Mr. Saket. Mr. Priyanshu Kumar, could you highlight some of the key challenges you have faced in implementing sustainable approaches to the water body regeneration, and how have you addressed them?
One of the biggest challenge we have faced when rejuvenating water bodies is the government itself. Government owns most of the water bodies, and therefore it is impossible to be rejuvenating water bodies without working with the government. But that's where the major challenge is. There are multiple angles to this. First and foremost, the business development or getting a project from the government has a really long sales cycle. It takes at least a few months, if not more than 6 months, to at least get one project from the government, which kind of which kind of slows down your company and your impact to be working on thousands and lakhs of water bodies. Then there's the problem of untimely payment from the government, um, which kind of blocks your working capital. So working with the government as a whole is the biggest challenge when rejuvenating water bodies. How we're kind of working, still addressing that challenge is by working with distributors, to work with the government. We understand we can't be going to every government, municipal corporation, every department, and be picking up tenders everywhere. But there are people who have great connects with the government, people who've been working with the government for quite a bit of time. And so we want to make these people our distributors, and kind of adopt a model similar to how Kirloskar pump works, right? They make pumps 1 HP, 5 HP, 10 HP, but they do not go and file up tenders everywhere, right? They have their distributor network who supplies it to the government. And that's a model that we are also trying to follow. Plus, another challenge we really faced was at the onset of COVID. You see, rejuvenating water bodies was anyways in the last priority list of the government. And at the onset of COVID, the government had absolutely run out of funds for rejuvenating water bodies. Even the alternate source of funds, which was corporate social responsibility, even those funds were diverted elsewhere, like towards COVID relief efforts. And that's when our kind of business declined. And there was nobody looking to rejuvenate a water body at that point of time. And that's when we thought to ourselves, can we really be rejuvenating water bodies without taking funds from the government? And the answer we came up with was yes. And that was through a PPP model, a public-private partnership model, where we raise private investment, rejuvenate the water bodies, and generate revenue and pay back that initial investment. So that's one of the challenge and one of the solution of how we've worked across it to solve it. Yeah.
Thank you, Mr. Priyanshu, for the explanation. Now, my next question is for all the panelists. What is the single most crucial factor for ensuring success of water treatment initiatives in the construction and infrastructure sector?
See, the decision making should be an informed decision making process. It should not be price centric. It should be, performance efficiency centric. Unfortunately, in India, most of the decisions are being taken in the construction industry and infrastructure industry based on the capital cost. Instead of looking into only the capital cost, or I would request everybody to look into the performance, efficiency, reliability, and other factors in addition to the cost. That is what I would request and suggest.
Thank you, sir. Mr. Vishwesharaya, what is your take on this?
My take on would be it should be affordable, and it should be reach the poorest of the poor who are deprived. And second thing, the technology should not be cost oriented. It should be a simple technology where we could install to the end users, like the villages, every places, wherever is possible, and not at the source. When we are building a very big plants, treatment plants, or waste, it's very cost centric. So what we should do is every district, every taluk should have some treatment plants of its own, and should be able to sustain on its own, because a very big plant, what we see, requires huge investment. Until that investment comes in any other form, the people are deprived. So this, it should be broken into small pieces, and every villages and every taluk should get the sustainable water, and we should be able to be operate and maintain it at their levels with the fund that they can develop. Plus the government, plus the CSR also should take some responsibility in ensuring that everybody gets the uh, potable water.
Thank you, sir. Mr. Sagar, would you like to add something?
No, I think majority of the points have been covered. So specifically, yes, these technologies, like I mentioned, need to go hand in hand, and you can have focus on a particular type of technology depending on, like I mentioned, what is coming in and what is going out will determine the kind of technology to be utilized. And with respect to that, it again needs to go hand in hand with your upstream and your downstream processes.
Okay. Thank you, Mr. Sagar. Mr. Priyanshu, what would you like to say on this?
So my take on this is a bit different. I think the thing that needs to be done to ensure wastewater treatment and everything is actually the enforcement of the rules and laws on the ground. I think that's a big problem, particularly with India. The rules and the laws and everything does exist, but they're not being enforced, right? If you have to let's say flip a single switch to correct the entire system, I think that would be the one. Because once you ensure that all of these raw rules and laws are enforced, then I'm sure there are multiple technologies with smaller, larger footprints, smaller, larger operations costs, etc. And then they could fairly compete to deliver what the government wants, the quality, water quality within a certain limit, etc. But we need to be enforcing these rules on the ground without fail and without a single exception. And I think that is what is most critical.
Thank you, Priyanshu. As we conclude, what message or piece of advice would you like to leave with our audience regarding the future of water treatment in construction? Anyone from the panelists?
Yeah, I can very well say that we have to look forward and proactively adopt new technologies and better technologies to be more water efficient, and that will go a long way. And we should promote sustainable green technologies towards water treatment, which will ensure uninterrupted supply of water for every citizen of our country, great country. And water management and efficient water management is very, very important. We should judicially, consume water and discharge, wastewater, because it is a very, big burden for the society. So if we can reduce our water footprint by judicial use of water, it will be a great thing to happen to India.
Thank you, sir, for your valuable thoughts. So, uh, Mr. Kumat, would you like to add something?
I think for the construction industry, I think reusing treated water would be a great way to go. For example, I come from Indore, the cleanliest city in India. Indore draws its water from Narmada River, which is 100 kilometers away. and then we discharge the treated water into our local Kanha river, which goes and eventually joins the Ganga. And we do not, our wastewater does not go back to the Narmada, right? So if, and this, our 80% dependence on fresh water is from Narmada, right? So if we can use our treated water for construction activities, for irrigation, for gardening, I think that could really help reduce our fresh water demand. And because what is happening in places where those places which are running out of fresh water is that like the the construction is supposed to take a full swing generally in the summer months, and that's when the major water scarcity is. And if the scarcity goes beyond a certain limit, you might have to stop construction due to unavailability of water. And therefore, I think treated water should be reused for construction as well. And that's my 2 cents on it.
It happened in Pune also a few years back, the deputy chief minister at that time, Ajit Pawar, he said that, no construction activity should happen in Pune because of water scarcity. And in fact, instead of thinking about water scarcity, we should think about, water surplus. If all the wastewater that is getting generated from the, residential complex, especially the large residential complex, it can be treated properly because that is not getting treated properly today. If it is getting treated properly and it can be made to, fit for reuse, that water also can be a resource for that particular building, because that water can be sold in the market for construction or any other purpose. So it will generate, revenue for that particular residential complex, rather than, making that, wastewater treatment or sewage treatment as a, I would say, an expense for them. Today it is an expense. So if you treat that water properly, it will become, generate, I would say, profitable venture for the particular, residential complex. That is what I would say. Think, differently, so that, it will make the water available at a very low price to everybody. And Pune is a very, very, very polluted, river. We have the Mulla Muta river, which is highly, contaminated. Probably you can also look into, Bangalore, because I was told that Bangalore lake is, highly contaminated. And I would suggest that, you take up, Priyanshu, talk to, Bangalore Municipal Corporation, maybe Mr. Vishwesharaya, since he is in Karnataka, he'll be able to connect you to, some government offices in Karnataka, so that the Bangalore lake also can be, rejuvenated. But that is a burning problem in Bangalore. You can see fire coming from the lake, from the water. So
Quite
you take it
literally,
up on
that's a
priority.
burning problem, sir.
Yeah, it's a burning problem for Karnataka. So if we can do something for that lake rejuvenation, it will be great.
Definitely will get in touch with all of you, sir, and completely agree with what you just said about
I
this.
think Mr. Vishweshwara is the right place in Karnataka to help you out to get connected with the BMC people.
Sure. I think it will be a pleasure. But as you rightly said, we need to utilize the wastewater in a proper manner that deemed to be fit for the construction. Otherwise, we are seeing depleting water levels. Bangalore has reached up to 1,500 feet, where you get only fluoride water in certain areas. And no doubt, I think people are getting acquainted using tankers, which basically they draw the sewage water, and I don't know what chemical they put it. They've been supplying as drinking water. It's so pathetic to say this, but this is the truth. Because there is no sufficient rain and there is no water in the dams. And where do we get water from Bangalore? Bangalore doesn't have any rivers. We have to draw water from Mysore or from Bangalore, which is almost 150 to 300 kilometers long. And the number of population that is increasing day by day in Bangalore, it's beyond imagination. Or roughly around 1.6 crore population is there in Bangalore. We are unable to sustain water also, giving them any potable water. As you rightly said, we need to use more and more techniques for all the flat people who are there in the society to reuse the sewage water used for gardening, car washing, or to the best of the possible technologies to use for construction industries. Otherwise,
For that, the sewage treatment plant should be robust and reliable, and it should use the right technology. Because what happens is, most of the real estate builders, they just put up a plant just for the sake of putting up a plant to meet the regulatory requirement. Otherwise, they are not interested in providing quality sewage treatment plant. So there is always problem in the construction industry, because they don't want to adapt and spend good amount of money capex on the proper sewage treatment plant. So that mindset has to change. They should not say that, are we going to use it, or are we going to give it to the owners of the flat. So if it is going to be the owners of the flat, why I should spend money from my pocket? Because it is a loss, revenue loss for the construction industry, and it is always a daily problem for the users, like residential people. So that mentality has to change. So as long as we have the same mentality, we are going to end up having the same problem. Even in Pune also, if you do a survey, I can bet more than 99% of the sewage treatment plant installed in residential complexes are not working due to various reasons. Even societies are not able to maintain and run the plant because there is a scarcity of skilled manpower. So that is where the technology, automation, and reliability, all these things comes into picture. So let us see how we educate and then bring more people on board toward the good cause.
Raman sir, there is a question for you from one
Yeah.
of our delegates.
Yeah.
So the question is, how can we implement ClO2 generators in infrastructure and construction industry and for drinking water disinfection?
Yeah, it is very easy because nowadays, if you see, any public sector undertaking, chlorination has been, banned. So whether it is a YNGC or NTPC or Nuclear Power Corporation or any large water consumers, they are using chlorine dioxide. In fact, in Middle East, everywhere you can find chlorine dioxide as a drinking water disinfectant. Europe is using extensively, chlorine dioxide as a drinking water this thing. So all the, this chlorination and the gas chlorination, which is very difficult to handle, is becoming obsolete. And yes, we are there. Somebody can, if they are interested, they can always reach out to me. We can help them in implementing the right technology and the right product, because it is where the quality is very, very important. The India quality takes on a very backseat. So we are not more quality oriented. We are price oriented, unfortunately. So we should think about quality and reliability and efficiency of any system that we purchase. Most of the public tender, everything is happening not based on the technology or reliability or efficiency. It happens based on the L1 tendency. That L1 tendency has to change.
Thank you, sir, for your
Yeah.
thoughts.